People Not Titles podcast, October 13th, the 13th day of the government shutdown. Zillow is in the news. We have mortgage price fixing news to talk about, Matt, and Chicago's big plan for 2045. Stay tuned. Well, hello, this is Steve Kaempf with the People Not Titles podcast. I'm here joyfully with my cohort partner and friend, Matt Lombardi. Matt, we're back after the bye week. I loved how you called that the bye week.
We were on bye week, like the Bears last week.
Bears.
In the Central Division, we were on our bye week to regroup, refocus, and heal. Yeah, so, now come back fresh with a chock load of news. First off, we are on day 13 of the U.S. government shutdown. And Matt, next week we're going to dedicate some time to what are the implications of housing in the shutdown. Right now, we're not hearing anything. It's minor in that the government, it just shows you how little we need the government to function day to day. But yeah, the biggest takeaway for me, and I think that is a good point to talk about if this continues, which it looks like it's going to continue, is the psychological effect I think it has on people. You know, people have enough going on with the real estate marketplace, buying and selling, and now you add in the uncertainty of your federal government being closed and what that means to you if you're a federal worker. Am I going to get paid? How does this impact other stuff with insurance and federalized programs with Fannie and Freddie, which are insulated from the shutdown? But these are all just things that people don't need and want right now.
Matt, a good friend of mine, had worked for a big company. He had 6 weeks of vacation. He went in to ask, if I wanted to, could I take my 6 weeks all at once? And the person that oversaw him said, if you can be gone for 6 weeks and me not need you, I might not need you at all. And this is in some way the government shutdown in the sense of, you know, if things are, I understand there's people impacted and all these kind of things, but if we get to business as usual and the government stays shut down for a little bit, there's some questions with that. So anyway, we hope everything gets up and running. The good news is the troops are getting paid.
That's the biggest thing.
My daughter is in, as you know, her and her husband are in the military, and they were happy to hear that news. So we hope everyone's, just holding on during the shutdown. Matt, we have big news. The FTC versus Zillow and Redfin, they are taking a look at the deal that we reported on some time ago and saying, hey, we are claiming the companies illegally conspired to eliminate competition in the rental listings market. And Matt, I know there's a lot of agents sitting around going, sounds like Zillow to me. But what is happening here?
So not only the FTC, but also 5 individual states jumped on this lawsuit. So this is,
and we are not one of them, Matt. Illinois is not one of them.
No, it's Arizona, Connecticut, New York,
we got other
Virginia,
problems to worry about in Illinois.
Right. We won't get into that.
No,
well, we'll get into
not
that
yet.
later.
Yeah.
So the deal in question, we reported this when the deal originally happened in February of this year, and Zillow entered into an agreement with Redfin. Now, allegedly, Zillow paid Redfin $100 million for this exclusive partnership, and Zillow became the sole provider of multifamily rental listings on Redfin, in addition to Rent.com and ApartmentGuide.com.
Which are basically the big 3 that everyone goes to.
Correct. And so the FTC and these states are arguing this agreement removed Redfin as an independent competitor in this already saturated market, as Steve just pointed out. And this deal will likely lead to reduced competition, higher prices, and fewer choices for property managers as well as renters. And so the FTC calls this obviously anti-competitive, and it harms the U.S. housing market. And so once this deal took place, Redfin eliminated 450 employees, and Redfin agreed to transfer client and sensitive business data to Zillow. So if this is the case, and I know there's more discovery to happen, this is not good. Because if the FTC's argument hold up in court, this is very anti-competitive.
Matt, and I go back to what we reported last week or 2 weeks ago, where we were talking about Zillow adding to the cost of home ownership basically compiling all these listings and then adding their whopping fee to it. It wasn't better for the consumer. No. It wasn't better for the agents. And if that seems to be their MO, I see this, just because you're gobbling it all up, making it more efficient, which is more profitable, because the efficiency doesn't fall to the average Joe renter. Right. It falls to the Kaempfers of Zillow typically. So let's continue on.
Yeah, and so Steve brings up very good points. Is it, who is it good for? Who is making money? Who is saving money at the end of the day? You agents and consumers out there. Is this the best for you? Always ask that question.
Absolutely.
So anyway, Zillow says this deal is pro-competitive and pro-consumer, saying it expands renters' access to listings and helps property managers fill their vacancies. And Redfin,
Matt, and when I just think, my critical thinking hat, I put it on, okay? I think to myself, if all you did is compile Redfin's engine underneath you, how are we getting more access? It's the same access, just coming under Zillow, but go ahead. Maybe they have a different argument for that.
And so now Redfin also disagrees with the FTC, claiming the partnership cut costs. Well, when you cut 400 employees, that is going to cut costs, and allows investment in new rental search innovations. I'd love to know what those rental search innovations are.
Yeah.
You have a property, you put it on a listing, we're going to search for it. I don't know how innovative you can get other than...
sounds to me like, Matt, a combination of AI, tech, and whatnot have just eliminated 450 jobs. Plus, there might be some double work that they can foist onto the existing Zillow workers to get them to do more for the same pay or whatever it might be. So it looks to me like this is an opportunity for the FTC to step in and really find out what's happening.
Yep, and so this is an ongoing case. It was filed in Virginia, and there's a temporary stay on this case moving forward because of the government shutdown. And by the way, could I take 6 weeks off in a row, Steve?
No, you can't, Matt, because we need you're too valuable here. Okay,
I just needed to hear that, so thank you. And so we'll keep you posted on this, but this is just an ongoing, and I'm happy that the FTC is actually looking into this.
Yep.
Because I look at, and this is no offense, our business-friendly administration, that a lot of these things maybe would just go under the carpet and nobody would care. So I was happy to see this come to the table.
Yeah, Matt, and I'm sure shareholders from Zillow would applaud it and say, hey, Zillow's being effective, they're building, they're growing, they're being innovative, and let's give them kudos for that. There is a saying that came to mind as I read this. Have you ever heard, Matt, pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered?
Yes.
And so if you're a pig at the trough, you're going to get fed. If you're a big fat hog at the trough, nuzzling everyone out, finally, it's time for the boom to come down on you and for you to be on our plate and be bacon over the weekend. Okay, Matt. 5 more settlements in Gibson lawsuit received preliminary approval. So we had this lawsuit August of 2024. It came through. Or was it 2023?
Well, so there's the 2 major lawsuits. Yeah. So Sitzer-Burnett was the big one that came down against NAR. But so the Gibson case is
piggyback.
Is the look-alike piggyback case that's against NAR.
These pigs are making a big debut here in our...
time for bacon.
Yeah, anyway. Time for bacon.
So anyway, this is a national scope, and this is the look-alike case to Sitzer-Burnett. But this is ongoing, and as I think we reported with the Sitzer-Burnett case, those shareholders, like the clients who are part of the settlement will average about $250 per check. Mm-hmm. This, I don't know what the dollar amount is, but they just added in 5 new people, which adds almost $40 million to the antitrust fund.
Man, I was pretty surprised. Howard Hanna had to write out a check for $32 million.
I know.
Others, these are checks. Every time they have to write out this check, there's a sting to it. And I believe that these companies think back to our good old friends at the NAR,
absolutely,
and how they were not represented well, and how the word was not out, and how they were not defended. I'm not saying they were or they weren't, but this is what I'd be thinking as I'm writing out these big checks. Maybe they were even trying to get buyers' agency agreements before this, like Steve Baird was here in Chicago. He was talking about it 15 years ago, but no one responded. And now they're paying.
Oh, yeah.
And they're making the painful
100. Steve, you bring up an absolute fantastic point.
Thank you. I always do, Matt.
But this time it really is correct.
Really,
that these larger independent brokerages, they're always in the back of their mind saying, why didn't my association help me out with this? Look at this check I just had to cut out because you, Mr. and Miss NAR, screwed us.
Man, and that doesn't even, these checks don't even begin to address the cost of it, attorney fees, mental energy taken from things that were more productive, whatever it might be.
Right, and the biggest winners in these class action lawsuits are not you and me or it's the attorneys.
Absolutely.
They're making the biggest. So yeah, Hannah Holdings paid $32 million. William Ravis just over $4 million. Exit $1.5 million, and then Windermere and a new acquisition of theirs, Lion, paid just over $2 million. So next on tap is the remaining defendants, which include EXP, Weichert, Berkshire Hathaway Energy, which I forget where that brokerage is located. But the final approval for EXP and Weichert are at the end of this month. And 17 other defendants have received final approval. Notable deals that we've talked about before include At Properties, Douglas Elliman, Compass, Next Home Keys, Baird Warner, Real Estate One. So,
man, it looks like there's 150 million or so of checks written out to people, 75 million, 50-50, whatever it is, split the pot to the attorneys. And so the trickle-down effect is the sellers will get a check in the mail and be able to buy a tank of gas.
If they're lucky.
If they're lucky.
Unless it's, big tank.
Okay, yeah. Good, Matt. And the big thing is nothing has changed in the market to benefit the consumer. That's really the biggest rub of it. Right. And what it actually says is that the market was actually operating correctly before the lawsuits. So all of this was a nothing burger in the sense of helping the consumer. And it also, I think there was this presupposition or whispers, the agent's not worth their buck. And what you're finding out in the market, the agent is worth their buck. They're able to communicate their value proposition. So anyway, Matt, Zillow scores a legal win against Compass.
Yeah, so this is the ongoing legal battle between Zillow and Compass over the private listing ban that Zillow implemented onto Compass when all these things shook out earlier this year.
And that back to it, Zillow said you cannot put your things on private listing, and then when it doesn't work out, your secret squirrel plan doesn't work out, you're going to shuffle it over to Zillow. And Redfin said, not fair. Right. I want to have the best, my cake, and I want to eat it too.
Right. Very well said.
Thank you.
I know you said that before. And
I love to say it again and again, Matt.
But yeah, so we Compass, we're going to put you in our 2-week private listing exclusives, and if it doesn't sell, we'll throw you in the MLS. Mm-hmm. And Zillow said, no, we're going to abide by the clear cooperation policy. If you're not in by this certain time point, we're going to ban your listing. I don't know what the implications have been, but Compass doesn't like it, so they have been in litigation with Zillow. And so a judge on October 6th in New York granted Zillow's request for more discovery before ruling on Compass's injunction motion. What Zillow can now demand includes...
The People Not Titles podcast is brought to you by Land Trust Title Services, your partners for results.
So they can request all disclosures Compass made about Zillow's listing access standards during Anywhere's negotiations. So what happened is the judge saw, oh, you guys bought Anywhere, Compass, you just bought Anywhere. We're going to hold off on a couple things so that Zillow can get some more information based on this new acquisition.
Yeah, Matt, and this could be a squeeze by Zillow for settlement or whatever.
Right.
Because this more discovery could be, they could find things out that Compass doesn't want to reveal about their conversation with Anywhere and their strategies and all that kind of thing. But if they have nothing to hide, Matt, then discovery is fine.
Yep, and that, as Steve just said, those are the last 2
Pull
points
the covers
I was going to
off.
say. So what Zillow cannot do as part of this, judge's ruling is they cannot depose Robert Redfin, CEO of Compass. They're saying you've heard enough from him. He has nothing new to offer you. So no redeposition of him. There's a hearing set for November 18th. It's a 4-day hearing, November 18th to the 21st, on Compass's motion for an injunction. Zillow has asked the court to skip the live hearing altogether, and we'll see what happens, but more to come on this.
Matt, we have bombshell news too. Mortgage price fixing lawsuit involving Optimal Blue. And Matt, I'm going to put a twist on this. I believe this is great news for individual mortgage people, professionals out there building personal relationships in the market, thinking you're going to get squeezed out by the AI and all this thing. Let's talk about this, and then I'll make my commentary.
So a little setup is Optimal Blue is sort of a back-end software that a lot of these mortgage giants used to help cull and sell mortgage rates to their consumer audience. Mm-hmm. So that's who Optimal Blue is. You probably haven't heard of them, but you have heard of, so this is a federal class action lawsuit that happened last week.
With 30 major lenders.
But yeah, so including Optimal Blue, 30 major lenders, including names you've heard: Rocket, Wells Fargo, JP Morgan Chase, United Wholesaler Mortgage, as well as many others. But those are the big dogs in the mortgage industry. And the allegation is there is collusion to raise mortgage interest rate and fees for millions of home buyers since 2019. So this hasn't happened like, oh, just last week we caught you.
No, it's been going on for 6 years.
Almost 6 years now. And so I'm glad to see this one. And Steve and I were talking a little bit before this. This is good.
Matt, detail the scheme. How did it work? Or the alleged scheme. Alleged.
So Optimal Blue had this thing called competitive analytics software that allegedly shared, I like this, granular loan level data between lenders, including margins, price adjustment, loan officer compensation. Plus, lenders gain access to competitors' pricing intelligence. This allegedly allowed lenders to coordinate rates and fees instead of competing openly. One lender actually reported doubling margins from 1.78% to 3% in 24 and 25.
Matt, I love the how they named it, the competitive analytics.
Yeah.
Competitive for who? Right. And really it's how to compete for more profits off of the back of individual homeowners. And so you have on the one side, you have all this scuttle about unaffordability. And then here you got big companies colluding for data and the big banks scheming behind the scenes, allegedly, to work to double their profit margins on homeowners. If this is really happening, shame on them.
100%. So there's always a fall guy. So my hunch is Optimal Blue is going to be the fall guy and the big dogs in the mortgage industry.
I hope they are. And what's the impact on borrowers, man?
So the impact was, and maybe still is increased mortgage costs significantly, making home ownership less affordable. Mortgages using Optimal Blue's tools reportedly had spreads 49.2% higher than non-users. So that, you were in the mortgage game, 40,
that's a lot of money,
plus
Matt.
49% mortgage spread.
Yep.
That's high. Optimal Blue marketed its software as providing actual rates and live pricing for competitive pricing strategies, and allegedly facilitated price coordination among lenders. So none of this has been proven in court, but if this comes to court and they're able to prove it, this could be heavy duty fines to not only Optimal Blue, but these major mortgage providers as well. And maybe the consumers will get some money back for losing out on these poor mortgage rates that they probably got, which they shouldn't have.
Yeah, Matt, and I go back to the AI, the technology, and all the things. It reminds me of the 25 years ago when they said, hey, technology is going to get to the point we're all going to need to work 1 day a week because everything's going to be so efficient. Well, no, they just piled on more work on everybody, right? And at the same token here, you have all this technology, all this data, and really, I believe it's going to wind up in a good place in the sense of they're going to pull back the covers and go, nope, time to keep your margins the same. Everyone deserves to make a profit, and time to pass this on to the consumer. I hope there's some tech person right now sitting there saying, how can I get in here and champion the cause for the consumer?
I would love it.
And I do believe, Matt, I don't want to get on my soapbox too long, but this is the key where personal relationship, working with your loan officer at a competitive rate, and thinking that, oh, I'm working with Rocket, I'm cutting out the middleman. No, there's so many middle criminals here, it sounds like, that I want to get rid of that whole scene and work with someone I can trust, and that is going to have my best interests at heart.
Be informed and know what you're getting into. Work with a trusted loan officer for sure, but know what you're doing. Have some baseline information.
Absolutely.
So that you're not in the dark as you're going through this process.
Right. Just because you're clicking around on a phone and pressing a button doesn't mean you're getting the best deal. Okay, Matt. Zillow joins. Matt, we're coming across hard today, aren't we? Are we too heavy?
No, it's okay.
Okay, it's okay. We got to be opinionated.
It's okay.
Matt.
We've been off, on our bye week. We got a lot of energy. We got a lot of energy.
Yeah. It's like they say Ben Johnson on the Bears.
Yeah.
His last 2 post-bye week performances, 40-plus points for the Detroit Lions. So anyway.
And I think the Bears have won maybe 1 game out of a bye week. And I just saw that, seriously. So we'll see who wins.
Okay.
The head coach or the history
of the Bears. Okay, so we digress, Matt. Zillow joins ChatGPT app integration. So you think you're just typing in going, oh, how do I say this sentence well? Zillow's watching. Might be for all the good, but you're going to be able to search on ChatGPT for your home.
I forget what the amount is. Don't quote me. 800 million people per week are using ChatGPT. And so Zillow, which is, and obviously an early technology adopter, not unlike others. Spotify is one of them. Expedia is another one. These are early adopters and integrators into ChatGPT's platform. So this was major industry news in that now when you go to ChatGPT and you type in, show me a listing of homes for sale in Schaumburg, Illinois, it should now leverage Zillow's backend, or it will ask you to use Zillow's backend. But yeah, so it's an in-app automation and integration now, so that Zillow is going to come out number 1 and gets increased traffic, eyeballs, and everything else through ChatGPT's monstrous user base.
Matt, I believe that you'll see brokers hop onto this, and maybe even individual agents, and pay for in my area or whatever it is. So all in all, automation is good, but just know the net is widening, and that's what's happening.
Yep. It's that's all I had to say. If there's other stuff you
wanted
to say.
No, that's it, Matt. Okay, Matt. We are partnered with Andrew Holmes in the Mastery Program, and we are big advocates of this program, and there's 1,000 reasons why we won't get into right now. You can watch Andrew Holmes's interview that we did, and then I was interviewed on Andrew Holmes' podcast. But investors snapping up nearly 1 in 3 homes. The investment market is here to stay. They're a big part, 33% of the market today. What's happening here, Matt? Give us some of the stats.
And so before, if you'll allow me,
absolutely.
Steve's talking about Andrew Holmes, and the audience that goes through Andrew Holmes' program, which is highlighted in what we're going to cover here, are quote unquote mom and pop small-time investors.
Yes.
Not investment companies.
BlackRock, China, whatever.
This would be small. 5 to 10 properties at most are driving this investment marketplace. So our investor activity has hit now a 5-year high, where investors bought 345,000 plus homes in the second quarter of 2025, accounting for 33% of all U.S. home purchases, which is the highest in 5 years. So 1 in 3 homes across the U.S. has been purchased by quote unquote a real estate investor. 60% paid cash, 60% of investors sold homes went owner occupies. Where are we? Yeah. Investors now own 1 in 5 homes in the U.S., roughly 17 million of the 86 million single-family homes and townhomes out there.
Yeah, man, and let's make no mistake, when an investor buys a home, they're either providing a home for someone in the marketplace, or they're providing, from a standpoint of owner-occupied, they're reselling it to someone, or they're providing it as a rental. So they are actively participating in the commerce of buying and selling homes. And so it's a force to be reckoned with.
And typically, when an investor buys a home, this home needs some repairs.
Absolutely.
Not usually maybe major, but they need repairs, updating, getting it up to code with electrical and plumbing, getting the roof done, getting the kitchen, what buyers or renters want right now. So they're making an active investment in either selling the home and or renting the home. But I love it that it's small investors are driving this.
Yeah,
and
Matt,
I really think sustaining at some level the industry.
Matt, another point to make is that many of the homes that are bought and sold in this arena are people that ordinarily wouldn't have sold at all. They were just sitting on it. They were maybe leaving it dormant. Maybe they were a snowbird. Maybe they were renting it out to someone and just didn't want to go through the hassle of it. And they got a note in the mail, or someone knocked on the door and said, "Hey, I want to buy your home. Are you interested? You got these people. I'm going to buy your home for cash," to wholesalers or whatever. And all of a sudden they move. So a lot of these people are the people that are stuck, quote, and all of a sudden they're unstuck because of compelling vision or an investor's ingenuity.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So,
and you said mom and pop dominate, Matt. What is the stats there?
Yeah, so 90% of investor-owned homes belong to what are known as small operators, with fewer who are owning as their part of their portfolio 11 or fewer properties. Only 2.1% of investor homes are owned by large corporate landlords, and that would be 1,000 or more homes. And 99% of investor inventory is held by those with 50 or fewer properties in their portfolio.
So we're not talking about big players. We're not talking about all this spooky talk about how people are buying up neighborhoods, going to make it unaffordable. No, these are investors that are actively engaged in the market.
Yep.
And institutional investors, in fact, are pulling back, Matt.
That is correct. So,
excuse me,
you small investors out there, thank you. Keep it up.
Yeah, keep up the good work.
I mean, you're sustaining
We're here
the
for
industry. And if you're not involved with Andrew Holmes and the Cash Flow Conference and the Mastery Group, check that out. Check out Steve's podcast as well as Andrew's podcast.
Absolutely, Matt. Chicago's Central Area Plan 2045. I love it. People are saying they can't even handle 2025. That's a comment we had beforehand, but they're talking about 2045. Let's talk about this ingenious plan of what they hope to do. There's a think tank or something. What's happening?
So I love this because Steve and I were talking, and it's good to have vision, strategic thinking. What are we going to do for the future? So we could dream big here in Chicago, right? We could dream of World Series championships and Super Bowl championships. We could also dream big of a big vision for downtown.
Let's hear what
which
the
could
plans
add
are,
100 million square feet of development by 2045. And the population of our downtown area could more than double and exceed 300,000 residents. This plan will go before, this draft plan goes before the plan commission this fall. I can't remember, Steve and I were talking, like, who created this? Poor Chicago can't handle its day-to-day stuff right now, but it's nice that in 2045 they think these are some things that could go.
It's good
and
vision,
even if they
Matt.
get a couple of these things on the table, and I know a few of them are actually happening at some level, so we'll see, but I'm dubious, or as the kids say, sus.
Matt, when I look at the purpose, transform the Loop from a traditional business district to a 24/7 vibrant neighborhood. I think we need that because there's a lot of empty buildings there, and respond to high office vacancies and post-pandemic shift towards residential living.
Right.
So I think these are the things that are going to drive it. What do they expect in terms of residential growth, Matt?
So they're looking at more rentals than purchases.
Okay.
So it'll be more of a rental marketplace, about 60 to 68,000 new units. Mix of new construction and office to residential conversions. And this is happening on LaSalle Street.
Absolutely.
We have talked about the LaSalle Street corridor. So there's a handful of buildings on LaSalle Street in quote unquote the financial district that are being converted from office to residential, primarily rentals. And then, affordable housing would be part of this mix, and then focused on family size units and workforce housing. But Steve, like you said, downtown, it shuts down certain parts of it. This would be more of a 24/7 downtown area, more integrated with more retail, shops, things that when you live down there, you're going to need.
Absolutely. Transit, connectivity they plan on.
I'm a little suspect of this as well. The poor budgets for RTA, CTA, our regional transit. There's going to be rate hikes, cutbacks. But, by 2045, they want more Metra and CTA stations downtown, expanded water taxi service, maybe a new Red Line station, and extending the Riverwalk from its current place little further along the river. And once again, it's good to have vision.
It is.
And I know there's some things that we're talking about, like the LaSalle Street corridor and these residential units coming on board. That will happen. And if you do get more people living down there 24/7, obviously things have to focus, such as shopping. And
Matt, as much of the bad press as Chicago has gotten with ICE and all the rest of it,
yes,
Chicago was voted for the 9th straight year in a row the #1 big city in Chicago. Or a #1 big city in the United States, sorry.
Yes.
And so we are Chicagoans born and bred, and Chicago is an amazing, beautiful city. I was just in New York City, and everyone in New York City was like, I love New York, the great energy there, but they were like, Chicago is amazing. Everyone's talking about it. So this could really be a game changer if someone with vision, innovation, and execution can get this across the finish line.
Well, if we can get our finances shaped up,
absolutely,
I think all of this is achievable, but not to get on my soapbox, I don't see any of our elected officials tackling the big issues. So,
well,
this
man,
2045
think about this.
Plan,
yeah, think about this. All of this construction, all of this innovation and all that, it could be the way out of the financial trouble. Okay, Matt, other news.
Okay, so
what's the other news?
So first of all, Land Trust Title was nominated for the umpteenth time for Chicago Agent Magazine Choice Awards. If you're so inclined, Steve and I like to
vote often, like the Chicago tradition.
So you have until the end of this week, October 17th, to cast your vote for us at Land Trust Title. We would appreciate it. We're honored to be nominated.
Yes.
Steve dropped a latest People Not Titles podcast featuring local real estate attorney Joey Hamill.
Joey was fabulous.
Wonderful interview. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Great buzz, lots of visitors, lots of views on that.
Thank you.
Just a reminder that we are conducting 2 CLE events in November. November 6th, downtown in the Loop. November 11th in Oak Brook. You can go to mylandtrust.com for more information and to register for either of those.
Matt, and finally, we have to talk about it. The Cubs are out of it. They were defeated by the Milwaukee Brewers. We're happy for the way the season went. They reached their goal, which was not necessarily to win a world. I think everyone wants to win a world championship, but realistically, as Cubs fans, we were thinking if we can get to 90 wins and make it to the playoffs, it'd be. But I think from now on, it is World Series or bust.
I was sad to see them lose. City was a buzz. Everybody was excited, and then, and it's Milwaukee. And we have no problem with Milwaukee.
Yes.
Or Wisconsin for that matter.
No. We love Wisconsin.
It's a nice rivalry.
Yes.
And it was it's hurtful.
Hurtful.
To lose.
Reminds me of a hat my dad used to wear, and it was 2 grizzly bears mating on the hat. And
I was going to say, that doesn't sound like a proper hat.
Right. It was a picture of 2 grizzly bears mating, and it said, "Wait till you see next year's Cubs." That's what it said, and my dad wore it loud and proud, and
well done.
Very well done.
Well
done.
Okay,
Matt, and tonight we have a big game, Monday Night Football, Bears-Redskins. I'm predicting a Bears victory tonight.
I'll go with the Bears victory tonight.
Okay,
absolutely.
What are we going to say?
They're in D.C. So,
they're in D.C.
So we'll see.
All right.
Welcome back, Steve. We missed you last week.
Thank you, Matt. People Not Titles podcast signing off.
Hey, thanks for listening to the People Not Titles podcast. We are proudly sponsored by Land Trust Title Services. If you enjoyed the podcast, please hit the like button, please subscribe, and we'd love it if you'd share our podcast with your friends. Thanks a lot.